For those of you waiting online as well, we're just waiting for a few more people to come in to the room, and then we'll get started. So hopefully in the next few minutes. Thank you. Okay, I think we're good enough here to get started. Thank you, everyone, for coming this evening on this frigid night, and hopefully our weather improves for us very soon. So just to get started, here's our agenda. We've actually made a little bit of changes to this, and we will have our speakers present after our meeting minutes, so to give them an opportunity to get back into the warmth. And then just a few reminders, please mute your cell phones, and if you do have to have a conversation, we ask you please to take it outside, just so respect for anyone who is talking at the time. So with that, this evening we have our Board of Directors election, and we will start with any nominations from the floor. Anyone nominating themselves or someone else? Okay, well, with that, Nadine, where's Nadine? Oh, I'm sorry. So, will you come up and make the motion? There's no nominations from the floor.
So I move that we just accept the slate of candidates as on the ballot as is. So
Anyone opposed? Okay, well.
Vicki, wherever you are, and Chris, welcome back to the board.
Okay, thank you. That was easy. Okay, with that, Steve, can you bring us up to date on the treasure status?
Thanks, Deb. I can stand over here, right? No, oh. I thought last time I was told I could stand right there and still be on camera. Okay, at any rate. No big deal. So we've obviously turned over the new year. I just finished the January financials for the Greater Pine Island Civic Association. We had $917 worth of income for the month. About $745 of that, if I'm not mistaken, was interest income, and $175 worth of renewals of memberships and new memberships. We had a couple of expenses totaling $178. Obviously, as we've talked before, every month we pay First Baptist Church $100 to use this facility. We think it's well worth it. This is, great accommodations for us to hold our meetings. So our net income for the month was $739. I guess. Oh, did you? Okay. Well, the reality is I do a year-to-date income statement as well, and they're exactly the same numbers because it's for the month of January. So we'll skip right past that. And then a couple of things of important note here. If you're a regular attender, what you'll know is that I have been spending time trying to build out our investment portfolio, I guess you'd want to call it, and trying to get a set of laddered maturities in the portfolio. And the reason for that is that we're normally running around $15,000 worth of cash. The board has asked me to hold $10,000 worth of cash. And what I'm trying to do is build a laddered maturity. And when I say a laddered maturity, what I really mean is that I have a maturity coming up every month. So could feed back into cash flow if we need it. The reason the board asked me to keep $10,000 is just in case something comes up where we need to, pay a bill for whatever, that we have sufficient cash. So if I can build up this ladder and we have money maturing every month, then obviously we can take the cash position down. And so that's been my aim. And if you look, so as of right now, there's a maturity at the end of February, there's 2 in March, there's 1 in April, May, June, and July. And if you notice up at the top, there's a $22,000 balance in Truist. $15,000 of that is spoken for because I bought a couple of treasury bills that are actually going to mature in May and August. So literally, I'll have covered from February through August, so 6 months worth of maturities in front of us, and that should allow the board, and I'll be talking to the board about it, about bringing our cash balance down, because we can run a $5,000 cash balance if we know every month we've got $5,000 to $10,000 maturing in the investment portfolio. So it's taken me a while to do it. I've been working on this for 6 months when maturities come up, and I've finally gotten there. So, I'll be having a conversation probably next week with the board about bringing our cash position down. And that's all around trying to earn more income on that cash balance than we have in the past. I think we probably make about 2%. But in the market right now, we can get about 3.5. So if we can add another $10,000 or $15,000, it's another $150 a year. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish, and I think I'm pretty much there. The only other thing that I would say is every year we do a financial audit. And when I say audit, it's not, the audit that you would see in front of a major corporation, but we have somebody who spends some time and looks over our financials and basically, another set of eyes other than mine that can give the membership and the board comfort that there's nothing nefarious going on in the financial statements. So I'm already prepared for that. I'm probably going to deliver the information in the next couple of days, and it should be ready by the March meeting, so we'll be able to report on that. And new, I wrote an investment policy for the Greater Pine Island Civic Association that kind of puts guardrails around investing this money. And I'm actually going to have this person look over our investments and make sure that they're compliant with the investment policy that not only I wrote, but the board adopted. I think it was in December, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll have something that just talks about the overall finances and then something that talks about the investments in the portfolio and whether they comply with our investment policy statement. So that's all I have, unless there are questions, and I'm happy to answer questions. No?
Great job, Steve. Thank you. Okay, these are our minutes from January, and you would have gotten an email today or yesterday with the link to review them. I know everyone's looking at them right now. This is an eye test for most of us, but if there's any questions on the minutes, if not, we need a motion to approve. Okay, anyone opposed? Very good. All right, with that, then we will have our guest speakers. Whenever you're ready. So you should be good to go there.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm Mackie Young with Lee County Parks and Rec, and I have Kathy Loomis. She's our deputy. I'm the director for Parks and Rec. We have Steve Cox. Steve is one of our supervisors. He managed this area over here along with Christy Tovardik. I don't think Christy's here tonight. She didn't come. And after we speak about our portion, what we have Mr. Clemens from County Lands, he'll come up and talk about some of our preserves out here, 2020 reserves. So what I want to give you guys, just a quick overview about some of our projects that we're doing out on the island, Pine Island, also Mount Lachey, just to give you guys some information, because I know a lot of questions comes about, what are we doing and what's next and stuff like that. So we wanted to present you guys with a few things that's coming up and what's happening right now. Some of our hurricane recoveries, we're going to discuss some of that, and also we'll talk about some of our CIP projects, some of our capital improvement projects as well. For the hurricane projects that we have, the Gulf Preserve, two of the boardwalks was recently completed, and the observation platform has been anticipated to be completed. Yeah, I do. Thank you. I have to get used to doing this. And the observation platform for that area is due to be completed spring of this year. And we're going to talk about, thank you for that, Galt Preserve, Phillips Park, and also Mount Lachey. We're going to not talk about Pine Island because that's more for staff purposes only. And we just talked about Galt. Mount Lachey Park, the Arts Association building along with the community center building just been completed. We waited on the final inspection so we can do a soft ribbon cutting opening. Is that right, Steve? Do we have a date on that yet? Sometime in March. So you guys look out for that. And at the end of this presentation, I'll give you guys a QR code you can scan to keep up with all those projects. You can scan through it and keep a track of what's going on. Phillips Park, preparing various shade structures that the storm ripped apart, so we're going to replace all those. We're working on that right now. And that anticipation completion date is probably end of this year sometimes. And keep in mind too, guys, when the storm came through, and the whole county, everywhere, right? So we had hundreds of projects that we had to work on. So that's why we tell people, thank you for your patience. It's a lot of stuff that our guys had to work with to try to get to where we are now. We're getting there. We're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel, but we'll keep you guys posted on that. Some capital improvement projects, Lavender's Landing. Let me just go to that one. And we'll talk about Lavender's, Pine Island's community pool, and also Mount Lachey Park. And we're going to skip Pine Island. So Lavender's Landing, the construction of additional parking spaces, 8 vehicles, trailer spots, 1 standard vehicle spot was put there recently, resurfacing the whole parking lot, renovation portion of the existing building, and vehicle parking lot and boat ramp. We opened to the public November 21st of last year. We just opened that. Now, the inside of that one building there, anticipation probably be completed sometime in February 2026. So they're working on it. Our guys keep us up to date all the time what's happening. And when I give you that QR code at the end of this presentation, just click on that and you guys can follow along where we are with some of these projects. Thank you. We appreciate it because I know we were getting a lot of feedback for some of the boaters that want to use that area. So our guys did a tremendous job on that to get it going. It was, Steve, what was used before the bin side? Okay, so office spaces, okay. All right, so Mount Lachey Park, mangroves trimming in compliance with the state guidelines, and work is scheduled to begin this year to trim those mangroves. Phillips Park, construction of 3 pickleball courts. Where are my pickleball players at? Do we have any in here? None. Okay, all right.
No,
None.
not true. I get emails about the pickleball courts all the time.
All right,
so where does, if you wouldn't mind, please step up to the mic so the live stream people can hear you.
Okay. All right, but so the pickleball courts are going to anticipate to be completed by the spring or summer of this year, actually. So our guys in the office, they've been working very hard to try to get a lot of these things done. It's in the procurement phase right now for constructions underway. Pine Island Community Pool. So that whole pool area, even the building, is all going to go away. They're going to redo that whole thing. You're going to have a brand new one there. Not all. It's going to be, you're going to get a whole brand new one over there. So you're going to have a whole fresh one over there. So Pinewood Trails Park, removal of invasive plants, work is scheduled to occur this year in that area too. So in this last frame that I had, and this is some of the stuff, maybe we can come out at another date once things start happening and you guys can give you another update here. And now this QR code, if you have your phone, you can scan that and it takes you to a Parks Projects information tool. You can view details about the project, if it's in process, design stage, construction stage, and it'll tell you if it's completed or not. And also it has some cool images of what it was before the storm came. So you guys use that. It's going to be very helpful for you guys, and maybe you can follow along with that too. They can give you the information that you may need, okay? You guys have any questions? That's my last frame. You guys have any questions before Robert
Actually,
comes up?
I do. Going back to the Pine Island Pool, what are the plans for the renovations on that?
They're
Or
gonna,
when?
they're gonna
I can't
you can't see it.
I can't see it from here.
Yeah, 2026.
Thank you.
They're gonna tear everything out and redo the whole thing.
Any anticipated length of the project? A year, half a year?
Well, I don't have the definite dates yet, but scan that QR code. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Pine Island here, and I'm going to bring forward to you a proposal that I get all the time from citizens out here on the Parks and Recreation, because we don't have the facilities for it, but we get a lot of inquiries about putting a trail bike path on some of the preserves. You have more land available to do that than we do, like the Pine Flatwoods, and if this other parcel comes across from the Winn-Dixie, that would be another ideal place to put one in. And I'd just like that to be in your ideas of going forward.
Yes, sir. And we can take that back with our county admin. We can discuss that and see what we can do with that. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Any more questions?
Yes, on the behalf of the Pine Island Little League ball field, I know you said you still are working on some of the recovery from Hurricane Ian.
Yes, ma'am.
The dugout on the west side still doesn't have a roof,
Okay.
and the kids are sitting in the sun. And we never had structure covers for the bleachers.
You never had that before?
It would be nice to have those for the
Okay.
bleachers.
Kathy, you got a note of that, Kathy. Kathy's gonna take a note of this stuff, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and we can take that
Yeah,
back to admin.
yeah,
and talk.
yes, yes. And, let me think, I got a couple more things for people. For those dugouts. And also, on, under the pavilion, we could use some more picnic tables, a couple picnic tables. Pine Island Elementary School children do utilize those tables and benches when they come over to the pool for their field trips.
Okay.
And we just don't have enough there to sit even two classes of like 36 kids.
Okay.
So
Right.
that would
We can
that
make
would
note
be
of that, too.
nice
We'll make
to
note
have
of
that. And
Wait a minute, you have a Christmas list.
I do, because it has been neglected for a while. And shade covers for the playground area. Those kids can't use
Yeah, I think
those.
the shade covering is gonna get done. I mean, because right now, I mean, the whole county, the storm destroyed all of the coverings. So
I understand.
We're in the process of replacing all of them now.
Yeah, we just don't want to be forgotten.
Okay.
And the
Yeah,
kids,
absolutely.
the kids out here really can use that. That's, we don't have a whole lot out here. And baseball is their only organized sport on Pine Island. So we appreciate it very much. And also, I did have a question for public pools. Are there any in Cape Coral? Any public pools? Like, if there have a closure of our Pine Island pool, would we be able to access one
You mean a
in the
community
Cape?
pool
Yes.
in Cape Coral?
A county pool?
Yeah, no, Fort Myers is the only one that's close where you guys are. Yeah.
Do we know why there's not any county or public pools on the northwest side, like Birch Store area? And could we, like,
I
maybe
guess if
try
it's
to?
in the city limits of Cape Coral would have to.
It's the
to
Cape
go-
Coral
Yeah,
city
they have
limits,
to
so
go.
that's different than a county?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
yes.
okay. All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. I think.
I was looking, I already worked your QR code,
Yes,
looked at
ma'am.
everything. So I don't see, and I guess it's Lee County, the Pineland kayak launch, there was a lovely little pier, lookout pier, and that was, of course, destroyed at the end. That's not on the list? Is
Well,
the Lee
not on
County-
the list is here, but we did talk about it with our staff today. That came up in a conversation today with the kayak lunch area.
Yeah, so the kayak
Yeah.
launch is, it just is what it is, but there was
Yeah.
a lovely
Yeah.
pier, and the
And-
pier was,
And we can make note of that too. We have our
what
guys
does
check
that
it.
mean then if you make a note of that?
Well, we're gonna go back with our team and discuss it.
And see if you can work on it?
Yes. yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's at Pineland, it's a tip.
Is that?
That was put in privately, so if you
Oh,
follow along with the
okay.
university with the Randall Research Center, I believe it is not wrong with the county.
Oh.
And we can check into it.
My husband volunteered for Randall, and
Yeah.
they said it was county property.
We'll make a note, we'll figure it out.
All right, thank you. But the kayak launcher?
The baseball field.
Oh, baseball, okay.
They also needed their storage where they keep some of their stuff in, is also in desperate need to be replaced. And also there's a lot of kids that seem to be interested in soccer out here. Is there something we can do to help accommodate that?
And we can take a list now, and we'll go back. Yes, we're going to take a list of everything and take it back to admin, and we can discuss it. That's why
Okay.
we're here taking notes tonight, too.
Okay, and what about, something at bus stops? There's some of these kids that are at bus stops and it's dark. Something to help, protect them.
Now, that, it's probably the school board, right? Yeah, the school board probably have to do that.
So something like a bench or some kind of shelter?
Yeah, I know in Fort
How
Myers
is
they
the-
did that with a lot of the bus stop areas. People actually donated a lot of benches and put them there and chained them so people wouldn't steal them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
I realize that's gonna have to be definitely cemented down so they don't walk away.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like I said, some of these kids are out there in the dark,
Hmm.
trying to catch a bus,
Right.
so, I don't know.
Why don't you email us the locations and we'll see if we can reach out to the school board and
Or even if,
It-
I don't know if it's
I mean,
somebody.
Kiwanis, the local Kiwanis on the island is really good about doing some of that kind of stuff, and the Lions, so maybe we can
Okay.
work something out.
Yeah,
And even if you get somebody to donate them, just
Right.
put something out and maybe some people may purchase some of them for
Okay.
each stop, yeah. Okay,
all right.
thank you.
Also the lights from working at ball field.
The light. Anything else over? All right. Anything else, guys?
Yeah, Mac,
Yes, yes.
I have two quick questions. One, the QR code, I see all the projects there.
Yes,
Is
sir.
there like somewhere where you can sign up so that stuff comes to you automatically?
No, it's
Because
just
I
on,
won't
it's,
find the QR code a week from now
no, go ahead, Kevin. It's on the website.
on the website.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'll be there. It's not going anywhere. Yeah.
Okay. And
And if you have a problem, you can always call me. Or you can email
no,
me.
I would not do that. Lavender Landing.
Yes, sir.
I'm a fisherman.
Yes, sir.
I get a lot of complaints from fellow fishermen that you added more space, but you have hours now where the gates are locked. What is that
Well,
all
that
about?
came up before, about a week or two ago, Steve. Remember we discussed this? I thought the time,
There's always hours on that facility, but if it's done by a vendor, they just do not enforce them. It's always been, even with, anytime we have a neighborhood boat ramp, that the hours start at 7 and they end by 9. But if you have, not necessarily the fishermen, but you have other people that ruin that for everybody.
well, yeah, to add was, yeah.
Party up and down the canal at all times of the night.
And that's what causes it a lot of times. To Steve's point, yeah, and I agree with Steve, is that in a neighborhood, you got people coming back and we want you to have fun, but you're loud and drinking beer and you're making a lot of noise, and people get complaints from people that live next to the boat ramp. That's kind of caused some of the problems with that.
Okay, I guess I understand that. Seems a little inconsistent with all the music that's played on the island till, 8 or 10 o'clock at night
Yeah.
in residential neighborhoods. But that's not your issue.
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Just so I have an explanation. I don't.
Right. All right. Anything else? You got another one?
I promise. One more and I'll stop. I'll actually leave after this.
No, you can't leave now.
What, you made me think about that soccer, because we do have a lot of kids that want to play soccer out here. And that senior field over behind the school is not used. I mean, I've been driving over there for 38 years and driving up in the school parking lot, and I drive right there and look at that senior field, and it's just not being used. So that,
Yeah,
the-
yeah.
yeah,
That's
so
the
maybe
one
we
that-
could look into that.
Yeah, I think we talked about
senior
that
field
one in
back
the back
there.
that's not being used,
Yeah.
right?
Hey.
Yeah, okay.
Rhonda, do you know that right across from the fire station up by Bokeelia, there's a whole group that plays soccer up there. I don't know anything about, who owns the field or how it happened, but they've got a couple of goals, and people show up there during the summer all the time to play soccer. So basically across from the fire department, fire station. Yeah, so for what it's worth. There. And kids that look like they were driven by adults.
In that area, probably a lot of soccer players.
Okay, if nothing else, so we got Mr. Clemens next. Thank you guys so much.
Good evening, I'm Robert Clemens, Director of County Lands. County Lands is the county's real estate department, so we handle all the real estate activities for the county. In tonight's presentation, I wanted to begin with Conservation 2020. This is an overall map of all of Conservation 2020 within Lee County. To date, Lee County has acquired 31,700 acres, and we're still continuing with Conservation 2020. It began in 1996. Lee County has spent over $407 million since the inception of Conservation 2020.
We have, it's resident funded, right?
Yes. And with that, we've acquired 174 properties and created 52 preserves. Lee County has also spent over $70 million on maintaining those parks or preserves. And it's Parks and Recs that handles taking care of these conservation preserves. In Pine Island, we've acquired 25 properties, almost 2,300 acres from north end to south end. There's a list of the 6 preserves: Buttonwood, Carver Preserve, Galt Preserve, Pine Island Flatwoods, Pineland Site Complex, and Smokehouse Bay. Pineland's site complex is where the Ruby Gill House is and the post office. The conservation area is kind of across the road from that. This is a map of Pine Island, and it shows where those preserves are. Did I go too fast for? I saw some phones go up and come back down real quick.
I'll post it on our website after.
There are 3 properties that are currently under acquisition activities. We're working on acquiring those at this time. The first 2 are contiguous. Those are the ones I think someone had referenced being across from the Winn-Dixie Plaza. And then we have the 10 acres in the Flatwood Preserve, and that's an infill parcel. The following slides narrow these down as to the physical location of those. There's a closer view so you can see it looks like it goes from Pines to Mangrove. They're under negotiation at this point until we come to terms with somebody. We either come to terms or we don't come to terms. We go to impasse, and then.
I just want to make sure that
Just want to say, Robin and I, we are part of the Conservation 2020, the Class Act too. And what happens is a lot of these properties, when they come up for purchase, they have to go through a whole process. They have to go through Robert's office first. We meet, then we go to the Class Act people. They review it, and then we make a determination in that meeting. And then the rest of the time, after that rather, it goes to the commissioners to have the final say-so. So it's a process to get these things passed.
And all 3 of these that we had referenced have gone through. The commissioners have authorized us to go forward with acquisition activities. The appraisals have been done or are in process. And, once we start communicating with the property owners, we'll know better where we are. Right now, I'm feeling pretty good about them. We also have to do title work and such. And oftentimes when we're doing the title work, we find there's problems that we can't initially overcome if there's probate issues or sometimes access issues that can create a problem. This is a close-up.
There are bearings is
Which post office? There's 3.
Bequelia. Bequelia.
Yeah, these are the active ones, but let me.
Do you know where the kayak launch is in Bokeelia, in Pineland? It's right around the corner from there. It's that little tiny building by the Ruby Gill House.
If you see where it says 5 Pine Island Sites Complex.
It's right around the curve where it goes from Pineland to Waterfront Drive.
It's
By the
almost
Tarpon
adjacent.
Lodge, yeah.
It's almost adjacent to the Randall Research Center. And this is an overall map of Lee County showing conservation lands of all of Lee County. Several of our departments got together, GIS, Community Development, Parks and Recs, County Lands, and we came up with this overall map, put the different colors in there to try to give it a little more emphasis as to which particular entities own what portion of those conservation lands. So this is a total of conservation lands in Lee County. Those are everything from county-owned lands that are not part of Conservation 2020, such as 6 Mile Cypress Preserve. Then we have the Conservation 2020 lands, federal, state, the municipalities, not-for-profits like Calusa Land Trust, and private and developer-required conservation lands that are set aside and oftentimes fall under the jurisdiction of a CDD. So in total, we have over 141,000 acres in conservation land, and that equates to about 27% of the county. Little Pine Island is a state-owned parcel.
Covered on that, this slide, it's the next one, that you said the 27%. Is there a goal?
There's been no goal set to my knowledge.
Okay.
But, you know, Conservation 2020 is continuing, and as things develop, some of the policies of the county have held where you see some of these larger developments, instead of having everything sprawled out, they've tightened up and condensed the development footprint. Say like, I think Babcock's a pretty good example to see where that happened, where they consolidated the development and then created these preserve areas. And that's evident in some areas further south, like in Corkscrew.
And what you just described is what's considered private holdings, like private or developed, required. Babcock Ranch, their wetland area would be in that category.
Correct.
Pretty good number. How do you apply for that?
Apply for the this is a voluntary program. Conservation 2020 is voluntary. The property owners or their representatives would submit an application to Conservation 2020, and then staff would analyze the property. That's everything from checking the title, and we have staff go out and look at the environmental characteristics of it, create a score, bring back to what is called Class Act. That's the committee that oversees the operations that staff is doing for the board. Then we take their recommendations to the board, and the board can make a decision as to whatever that recommendation may be. Assuming that somebody nominated a property, it scores well, everybody, the Class Act recommends to forward it for acquisition, the board approves it, then we go back and we get appraisals, do more extensive title work, then put together a contract and try to acquire the property.
Yeah, Robert Ballard again, Calusa Land Trust. We've been actively involved with the 58 acres across from the Winn-Dixie, and let everybody know it's not a fast process. We've been working with the landowner for over 8 years now, trying to protect that property, and we finally got it to 2020, and we're in the last negotiating stage of that. The Calusa Land Trust is so invested in the potential of this property that we've offered $80,000 towards the Parks and Rec to develop that property, and we'd like to, if we can, somehow work with the Parks and Rec in a development plan for that, to see that happen. So we're committed to it. Yes.
Can you clarify when you say across from Winn-Dixie, are you talking south of?
Directly across directly across all the woods out there, directly across north of the shrimp farm, south of the new fish farm.
Okay. And it's another 38 acres for sale in case anyone's got a million. Great property right next to it.
Which is a farm.
What is it?
Real quick from the booth up here, we had two comments online. One of them was they feel that the community would definitely be in support of a soccer field. And then there was the comment about the soccer field that everybody sees. That's a privately owned land that those particular groups of people have permission to go on. So. Thank you.
Okay, we're about to transition to our next speaker. Anybody, any other comments? We really appreciate all of you coming, spending your personal time this evening. And we have more items to cover, so but we'd love for you to stay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We don't have any slides for you, we know you're just gonna go off the top. Thanks again.
Just a reminder as we go into this public information session, if you have questions, please use the mic up here at the front. That way the folks watching on the live stream can hear what the questions and the answers are. Thank you.
She manages our fleet and support services for the station. I am the deputy chief of operations for the county of Lee County Public Safety. We're here this evening in accordance with the Greater Planning requirements of the Lee County Land Development Code. This is an informational session as part of okay, there we go. Okay, so this informational session is part of the public review process tied to our special exception application. Late last year, Lee County EMS made an operational move of one of our ambulance resources from Pine Island Fire Department Station 1. Since that time, we've been working to ensure EMS coverage on the island remains strong, reliable, and positioned appropriately for emergency response needs. Lee County Public Safety has submitted an application seeking approval to utilize a existing single-family residence located at 5525 Avenue B. I think maybe you're just on the other side of where we're located. Within the residential two-family conservation zoning district. The county has executed a 3-year lease at that location with the ability to extend the agreement for up to 5 years, which will support continued EMS service delivery to Pine Island and also long-term plans. It is important for the community to know that this ambulance has already been responding from this location following emergency use approval. The purpose of this request is to ensure timely emergency medical response, maintain strong service coverage on the island, and allow EMS personnel to remain close to the community they serve. But Lee County EMS also understands that the growing needs of the Pine Island community, and we want residents to know that this is part of a broader long-term plan. We're currently working through the procurement process right now and soliciting vendors towards the construction of a new EMS station that will be located on Stringfellow Road, just south of Jamerson Avenue on the south side of Stringfellow. That future station will have the potential to house 2 ambulances, allowing for additional capacity and future growth as the community continues to expand here on Pine Island. We understand that EMS operations are an important part of the community, and we take seriously the responsibility of being both good partners and good neighbors. We appreciate the continued support Pine Island has shown to Lee County EMS, and we remain committed to providing high-quality emergency medical care to both the residents and visitors alike. I'll take any questions. Or maybe I did such a good job. I think Rhonda used all of her questions, so that was phenomenal.
You
But if
did
I
a great job, actually.
okay.
You answered my questions.
Yeah, you used all your questions.
No, you were not. Don't be silly.
I just want to clarify, this private home,
purchase, is that a temporary?
It
Did you
is.
say there's going to be a longer-term plan?
It
Okay.
is. It'll be temporary. We made the lease long enough to allow for any hiccups along the road from the procurement process. So we're shooting for 3 years, but we can be there for up to 5. We expect this to probably take 2 years once we get the procurement process going.
Can you repeat the location
Sure.
for your the
Yeah,
permanent?
it's 5525 Avenue B.
No,
And-
the permanent location that
Oh,
you
the permanent
mentioned.
location? Yeah, so it'll be Jamerson Road, I think it is, or Jamerson Avenue. Hold on, I have. Hold on. That's what I said, right? Yeah, so it's about a quarter. It looks about a mile or so south from the center of the island, and then it'll be on the south side. You found it? Right there. Yes. Just south of that location. So it was the closest street I could find to the Strap, but it'll be just south of that. Yeah, it'll be just south. Yeah, it's land that we'll have to clear. Yep. So we hope to be in Avenue B for about 2 to 3 years. Once we get, so right now we are actually currently soliciting vendors and we're listening to the different architects as we narrow down the design. Once that happens, we expect it to take about 18 months from that point.
Share the reason why you left the station?
Yeah, of course. So we left the station. So we were in the middle of lease negotiations with the fire department. They weren't successful, and so ultimately we did end up leaving. The station that we're going to be building has the ability to allow us to grow and expand, which is something that we struggle with across the county because space is very limited, especially when we're cohabitating with fire department because they're also trying to grow as well. The other thing that this station will allow us to do is it'll be a hardened facility, so it'll allow us to remain on the island longer and then not have to worry about the facility needs following the impacts of a storm.
Did the EMS workers, like, is this a building you guys spend the night in, or just a place to stage? I just wasn't sure.
At the location that we're at right now, Avenue B, yeah, absolutely. It's 24/7. We're there all day. And just so you know, the way that works is when that ambulance gets a call, we immediately pull one and replace it. Yeah. Yes.
Can you come up to the mic, please?
The area behind Publix, is that supposed to be for the paramedics or helicopters or something to get people off the island?
Yeah, so the goal is that with every station that we construct, that we also have the ability to land helicopters at those locations. It's safer for not just our air medical crews, but also the public.
Okay.
That's just one that you'll share.
Correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Sir.
I'd like to know what your problem was with the fire district that you couldn't stay there.
Yeah, so ultimately it was a lease negotiation that just wasn't successful. Most of it did revolve around money. So because of those reasons, ultimately we did end up choosing to lease this location while we were working towards constructing our own facility. Yeah, well, and you bring up a good point because this will allow us to also grow, which is something that would have been difficult in the confines of that current location with the fire department. So this will allow us to put a second ambulance and then run 2 ambulances out at all times.
How will that, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
How will that affect the fire district's EMS program?
It wouldn't at all. Actually, matter of fact, we work seamlessly with them. And this model is not unique here. It's actually the model that works across the rest of the county. It's something that we're doing with building standalone EMS stations, which allow us the ability to grow and expand as the community grows also.
So it's in conjunction with the fire district?
Of course.
Okay.
Yep, we will both still respond the same as we always have, and as a matter of fact, with no change in response times because we're just right down the road.
I think it's great that the county's spending the money out here on our area to improve the service. I mean, it's excellent.
That's the
Excellent
goal.
idea.
That's the goal. We want to be there for you all.
Thank you.
What is your response time? Can you come to the mic, please?
Me either.
So, I'm assuming this is the only staff station on the island. What is your response time now to the far ends of the island?
Of course. So the county as a whole, where we are held through statute through an 8-minute and 59 seconds response to life-threatening calls, we are held to that 90% of the time. We exceed that, and we're normally about 95%. So what that means is those are specifically life-threatening calls. The majority of our calls are not life-threatening; they're low acuity. Probably about 70% of the calls we receive are low acuity calls. That's what makes the system very challenging, because oftentimes when we're responding to a lower acuity call, and when that higher one comes in, that could be the challenge that you're describing. Our dispatchers, the minute we receive a call here, they're automatically dispatching another station. So the closest one here is Nicholas Parkway, Burnt Store Road, and Chiquita. All three of those, one will always remain at that station so that we can ensure that we can immediately pull one to Pine Island. Along with that, we also have air medical support. And so depending on what the caller tells our dispatchers, the helicopter will automatically dispatch and can be in the air before we even request it or before we're even on scene.
What
Sir.
does this do to our ad valorem tax, seeing that's the second biggest bill on my whole tax bill?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'm unsure of what the end cost is going to be of the station, just because, as I mentioned, we're actually just listening currently to the different design concepts of the station. We do know that it'll more likely be a 2-story station that will be hardened to ICC codes, which means that it'll withstand a Category 4 storm, or at least a Category 4 storm. But to answer your question on the ad valorem taxes, I don't know. Sir.
Thanks for coming. George Samalot. I've been to these meetings before where the chief of the Matt Lachey Pine Island Fire Department has brought to our attention that they're going to rebuild a new fire station in St. James City. And that too will have a helicopter, I don't know what the terminology is, port.
Sure.
Is that redundancy, or is that, I mean, you're within 5 miles of each other.
Yeah, so ultimately, the more available landing zones that we have, which are safer and not within a public access point, so a street, because that's really what happens right now is we end up shutting down a road or we end up landing in a vacant field. It's dangerous for the helicopter, it's dangerous for our crews, it's dangerous for the public as well. It's also an inconvenience for shut down a road like that. So to answer that question, no, having more available options, because oftentimes we don't know which helicopter is coming. There could be one coming from the south. There could also be one coming from the north. We pull mutual aid responses all the time. And so we do the same for our air assets.
Okay. I was ignorant of any heliports on Pine Island. Now I think we're going to have 2.
Yeah, well, for a while we were using mosquito control. And we were sharing that, yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
No problem, thank you.
Hey, Adrian, I thought I heard conversation that said that the fire department provides EMS services as well. Is that duplication of effort?
So we're the only entity on the island and in the majority of the county that is allowed to transport patients to a hospital. What you might be referring to is the level of care that the fire department currently holds. And so, for example, they are an ALS department, which means that you'll find paramedics on their apparatus. And so what that means for you all is even before we get there, say the fire department was to arrive before us, you'd be receiving a higher level of care but not necessarily a mechanism to be transported to the hospital or long-term care that we would be providing to you at the same level or greater on the way to the hospital.
So it's a different level of service.
Correct. Yeah, it is a different level of service. You are getting somewhat of the same level of care, but it's a matter of time, not necessarily whether or not it's duplication. It's all about getting the right resource to you as quickly as possible. Okay, well, I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A public information session, we'll need to report back to the county. Is there anybody who's opposed to the zoning variance request that the county is making? Their request, it's a variance? Special exception, thank you, to operate out of the house on Avenue B.
Adrian, thank you, Nicole. Okay, so this is our section that we added a couple months ago, and Steve and your team to give us some updates. Thank you.
Thanks very much. We started this, I guess it was in the October meeting. No, November meeting, and we skipped December, and we've had one January and February, and so we're trying to keep you updated as much as we possibly can. First thing I actually want to do is I want to go ahead and just recognize the people that are helping. So when I call your name, if you're here, would you just please stand up and wave to everybody? So I'll start with Jonathan Wagner. Lee McKivitt, is she here? Sue DeHood. Matt Otto. Thank you, Matt. Skyland Brown. And Alice Wilson, and I don't think I see her here. So all of these people have volunteered to be on the committee to try and keep up with the zoning and the development things that are going on. The first one we did in November, I basically tried to take you through everything that was happening on the island. So if you missed that meeting, you're going to miss some of it. And I kind of did the same thing in January, but tonight I'm going to do an abbreviated version and just kind of stick to the projects where there's actually something that's going on that you should potentially know about. Have you got it? So there's really nothing going on here, despite the fact I said I was only going to cover things where there was something going on. But this is a pretty big project, and I just thought if you haven't been out where Old Captain Conn's is, there's quite a bit of stuff going on out there. And you ought to just make a trip out there and just kind of look around. As you can see, and maybe you can read it, there's going to be 48-unit mobile home park, and there's going to be a pool and I think some sort of a clubhouse. I drove out there the other day, and the thing that I was a little flabbergasted about was not what I think is going to happen there, which is the 48 units, but just all the docks that are going out the back of that. It's just amazing, and that was the thing I wanted to ask Parks and Rec was who has to give approval for those docks and how do you do it? Because it would appear as if there's 10 new docks there, and there looks like there's more coming in addition to the 48 units that's going on. So that's about all I would say is, get around the island and take a look, and this is a pretty big project that's going to be going on, and you ought to just have some idea what's happening.
Steve, I have a question on this one.
Yeah.
Is this the one that was started in the early 2000s, or is that a separate one up there?
The best I can tell, and this is a frustrating thing. It used to be called something else, and I don't even have it on there anymore. But it was under a development order that was issued in 2004. And if you were here in November,
I talked to you about how they extended and extended and extended the development order because of hurricane after hurricane, and then it was the pills going across the border. There was all kinds of things that extended it. At any rate, lo and behold, I think that property got sold in 2024, and they created an entirely new development order that I didn't know anything about. And again, I started following this last year at the beginning of the year, so I don't have any history in 2004, but all of a sudden the development order was approved. And so frankly, when you get down to it, I don't think there's much we can do to stop it at this stage of the game. It is what it is, but just trying to keep people up to date in terms of what's going on around the island. Hold on, Bob.
Just a little history of people that haven't been here that long. Back in the 50s, this was a big trailer park. 2 trailer parks in there, actually. Over 100 units in there. So this is a scaled-down model of what was there back in the 50s. So, you can get all excited about the fact that there's a development order to do something, but it's a lot less than what was there before, and it's going to be a lot better than what was there before. But there was a clubhouse, and there was mobile homes in there in the winter every year. There was probably another 800 people in Bokeelia at that time every year, going back in the 50s and early 60s. So this is not a new use, it's just a regurgitation of an old use with less units. And they're raising the thing up. If you've been there, it's up this high now. You got to drive uphill to get into it now. So, but the restaurant is going to go into the old Captain Conn's. They're going to be building a upstairs thing. The initial proposal is back when you were talking about, Steve, back a few years ago, was to put a bunch of condos and stuff with a big 3-story garage in there and run the pier out another 800 feet out into Charlotte Harbor. That got shot down, thank God. As far as the docks and stuff go in the back, that's intercoastal navigation system that is responsible.
And is it easy to do?
I'm sorry?
Is it easy to do if you send them something, you get an approval?
You
And
got to go through permitting. They went through permitting, but
it's amazing because there's docks everywhere, just docks going on everywhere.
So a couple things. It is the Army Corps, I'm pretty sure, because those are considered navigable waters. And several of us on the water keepers have signed up for permit notification. So as far as I know, nothing's been permitted for putting docks in there. And that is a really tricky navigable area if you've ever come out of Four Winds. I mean, I think your concern about the docks is appropriate. Second question would be is what are they talking about sewer? Where? There's no sewer systems down there.
Yeah, at any rate, maybe following up on Bob's comments, my parents lived out on Main Street for a number of years. Actually, that was a second home for them, but they fought the developer, I'm sure this was 15 years ago, when he was trying to put up a cell phone tower and big high rises. He wanted to bring in big boats. And so, that finally got defeated. I think he figured he couldn't end up doing what he wanted to do. And so he finally sold the property. And, this is what we have going on. And again, Lee County generally isn't here, I guess, but, the fact that there was a development order that they did not connect to this and that our committee literally, like detectives, had to figure out exactly what was going on there is just amazing. I mean, they could have linked those two just so it was easy to figure out what was going on, but they didn't bother to do that. Well, don't get me started. Thank you. There you go. That explains a lot. And, I'm just going to tell you that, I looked at last month's code enforcements, and there were 53 items on the code enforcement list, and 52% of those were for lack of permits. Lack of permits. So this island in general, people just don't bother to get permits. Now,
it's going to be interesting because we're going to have code enforcement here in a couple of months. And I really do want to know what the process is because essentially when they catch you, if you get your permit within 60 days, nothing happens. So why would you ever bother filing for your permit at the beginning? Just wait to get caught. So the process seems to be a little bit flawed, and I'll be interested because they have a new process now, and I want to understand that better. But it just feels like an awful lot of what goes on in Pine Island is unpermitted work, at least the research that I've done on my own. So I'm not speaking for the greater Pine Island. This is me talking. So, okay, Upper Captiva Carriage Club. As you can see there, they finally did the county planner, just so everybody understands the process. A county planner makes a recommendation to the HEX examiner. The HEX examiner then can take that recommendation and either say, I agree with it or disagree with it. And then in the case of Upper Captiva Carriage, the planner for the county said, yep, you know, with a couple of small restrictions, we'll let this one take place. The hearing examiner just the other day came through and agreed. And so because of what it is that they're doing, because it's a development issue, it will now go to the county commissioners for approval. And the only thing that I didn't have until Christine told me about it today, she got something on it. That meeting is on February 18th, if I'm not mistaken. And would that be at the county commissioners meeting? Okay. Yeah. So the reality is you have a county planner that said, let it go forward. You have the HEX hearing examiner said, let it go forward. And now it's going to the Board of County Commissioners for them to say, let it go through or not go through. So my guess is you can certainly speak to it. February 18th, you can find out details. We can help you find out if you want to. Yes, good point.
You have to have spoken before the hearing examiner in order to speak before the commissioners. So if you didn't speak before the hearing examiner, they won't listen to you. You're not allowed to speak at the commissioners meeting.
Yeah,
Well,
and
with that,
Skyland
yes.
too. So there's 3 of us in here that can speak. So if there's something that you want to be brought forward, let us know.
It's located by the commercial marina on Maria Drive.
Maria
Yeah.
Drive.
The corner.
It's right at the corner there where you turn into the marina.
Yes. Yes, you're right, because it's on the corner versus the marina. Okay, next. So the Blue Dog Restaurant, they've gone through the process. They're looking to have outdoor seating on that back porch area. And they've gone through all of the gyrations. The county planner, in this case, has made a recommendation that the requests be approved. And now it's going to a HEX hearing on February 5th at 9 o'clock in downtown Fort Myers. I need to understand the HEX hearing process. And so I am going to that meeting along with Matt Otto and Jonathan Wagner just to see how the process works. It's quasi-judicial, they say. And when they say that, what they really mean is when you go there, it can't be about emotion. You know, I don't like it because it's blue doesn't work. It has to be based on fact of the land code, period. That's the only thing that matters. So I just need to understand it because I think the next thing, is they're talking about putting a cell phone tower on my street. and I'm leading the opposition, and so I need to understand the HEX hearing because we're at HEX hearing scheduled for March 11th at 9 o'clock in downtown Fort Myers as well. So I will be there with all my neighborhood friends and then some. Believe it or not. So a lot of these things are coming to fruition, and again, just very quickly so you understand. So somebody files an application to do something, and they say, this is what we want to do. The county then takes it, sends it out to all the departments and says, all the departments look at it and say, we saw your application and what it is you want to do, but you're deficient in these areas. And I mean, it goes to animal, it goes to park and rec, it goes to all the departments. And then it comes back to the planner, and the planner writes an email and he sends it to the applicant. And normally the applicant then responds back within 45 days. And then the county gets the letter in, they send it back to the departments and say, did they answer your question appropriately? A lot of times they haven't. And so ultimately what happens is then a second insufficiency letter goes out, and they play this game back and forth till the county determines that they have sufficiently answered the questions. Doesn't mean that, we're approving it. It just means we think you made enough effort to try and answer the question that we can go forward and talk about this. So then they issue a sufficiency letter and basically set up a HEX hearing. And so that's where we are here. They went back and forth on the tower, insufficiency letters. The county finally determined it to be sufficient, and they've set up a HEX hearing. In this case, because it is a variance and a special exception, it does not go before the county board. If it's a development, it has to go before the board. If it's a variance or a zoning issue, it doesn't have to go before the board at all. So in our case, on March 11th, when the hearing examiner says, this is how I rule, it's over. Now we can, as I've been told, we can sue if we want, but we have to go to circuit court to do it. So we're going outside of the process, and you know how much money that costs. So, that's a terminal date unless, I can find my neighbors to pony up $100,000 to sue in circuit court. But, so yeah, it's that's sort of the last day. Were you going to ask?
What you're saying is the county has already, I'm sorry. The county has already said, okay, send it to all their departments. They've said, finally, okay. And I can't believe they're saying okay in that location.
Okay, so let me be clear about this. They're not saying okay in that location. They are saying that you have answered all of our questions reasonably sufficiently. That's all they're saying. It's not, this is the rubber stamp, because the stamp comes, if it comes at all, comes at this hearing. But all the county departments have looked at the questions that they asked and said, you gave me a sufficient amount of information. Now, I've looked at some of those answers before, and there's a bunch of lip service in some cases. And that's going to be part of my argument when we go to fight this, is that they're required to look for alternative sites, and not just the one that, some developer said put it on my property, and yet, they sent out 25 letters and they sent it out to more than 80% of the properties were half the size of the one that they're trying to put it on. So it's pretty clear to me that they're just paying lip service to it. They can say, well, we tried, we sent out 25 letters, nobody would put the tower on their lot, but they never could because the lot's not even big enough to hold it. So they've answered the questions, and that's all the county is saying, and now we're going to send it to a quasi-judicial process so that we can determine officially whether this should be built or should not be built. Yes. There are 2 hearing examiners.
only 2. And they schedule a meeting at 9 and a meeting at 1, 2 days a week, each of them. So there are 4 HEX hearings a week. And let me be honest, I have seen I've seen the output by the planner, so that's the county person that writes the recommendation, and it is extensive. It looks legal. And the one on, that one's not done. I was looking at one the other day, I think it was the one on Blue Dog. It was 75 pages. There's a lot of pictures, but there was clearly 20 pages worth of well-written information that's going to the HEX hearing person. And I've looked at, the recommendations from HEX hearings, and they're lawyers. And, there's 10 footnotes on a page, 1 through 8 or whatever the case might be. So this is not kiddie stuff. This is serious stuff, and they write very well, and they're lawyers. And so that's why when you go, it's going to be all about the law. It's not, I think as I was talking to Nadine about, they're putting in all of these developments, and we've talked about a traffic study and, hurricane preparedness. That's one of those things where I think you can make an argument that's almost sort of emotional, because there's not really, I don't know where you point in the land development code about hurricane preparedness and being able to get off the island, but there is stuff that you can look at that has an emotional appeal to it. You had 55 units at the end. They're talking about another 35 at Viet Famous Land. They're talking 110 behind Winn-Dixie. So you put all of those in, and we better be doing some work around hurricane preparedness again, because the last one was done, 5-10 years ago. So that's just something we need to spend time on, and it's a bit emotional, but it's certainly needed for our safety. Betsy Parkway MFD, they made a presentation to us about 3 months ago, if I'm not mistaken. This is for 275,000 square feet of industrial uses and 50,000 square feet of commercial uses. And the 275,000 square feet of industrial uses, if I'm not mistaken, is storage. So, but they've been through the whole process. They've been through the insufficiency letters. The county's determined that it's sufficient. And so ultimately there's a HEX hearing set up on March 25th for that. And here's a nuance that most people don't understand, because you could say, wow, 275,000 square feet of storage space doesn't make sense because we've got storage all over the island. Well, the county really doesn't get into that. To a large extent, they don't really care, because they figure that the market's going to figure it out by itself. And, that's the theory of the car washes on every corner in Cape Coral. If you're stupid enough to build the last one, the market will figure out whether you looked at demand properly or not. And so theirs is, there's obviously a cry for, from the public that caused the city of Cape Coral to stop issuing permits for car washes. But for some period of time before the hue and cry got too large, county's just saying, look, you're abiding by code, and, the market will figure out whether, one on every corner is a problem. So, that could be one that's a bit emotional, but I think if you get enough people to rise up, you can, to some extent, make a difference. I got to take a deep breath before I say this one. So, 2023. We sat through a presentation. I think I was just on the board from these people. And ultimately, this disappeared for the longest of times. And I used to look, I used to try and find information if I could find anything. The last time I looked was March of last year, 2025, and lo and behold, an entire file with every piece of correspondence showed up June of last year with a development order as part of that file. Every bit of it. So basically quiet until the development order was issued. Didn't even know anything was happening. And now, on top of everything else, if you remember how this was going to go, it was going to be some single-family, multifamily in the back, and there was some discussion about the front part of it, and now they're trying to plat it so that the front part is commercial. And if you remember, they wanted to set up like a farmer's market. And at the point in time that they made the public information session to us, it was overwhelmingly, maybe one person voted in.
Was the one representative of the developer who voted in favor?
Yes, exactly. So I don't know what to say. I'm flabbergasted. I feel like the county didn't do what they needed to do, and I'm going to tell them myself whether it gets me anywhere or not.
Steve, quick question. Is it typical that 2 years' worth of work goes on and then it gets dumped right
No.
after the development order is filed?
No, you'd see the application, then you'd see the insufficiency letters, but no, June of last year, there are two entries there, and one of them has 50 documents in it. It's a zip file, essentially. And that's all the insufficiency letters, that's the utility approval, that's, it's just everything.
Recourse on that in terms of asking the county to be more timely with their info?
Well, that's the part that I'm going to do. Yeah. So, yes, exactly. It's 19 acres and it's fully wooded. But yeah. And by the way, and it's hard to see here, but there's one entrance, and this is right off of Stringfellow. And the traffic study, I've never met a traffic study that ever said anybody had to do anything. So, a traffic study where they're literally putting in, they're going to create a farmer's market, and they're going to create single and multifamily housing, and there's, you're at your own risk to turn right or turn left out of that onto Stringfellow. And I don't understand that. You would think so, but there's a very formal process for doing it, and you go to the conclusions. The conclusion is none of this applies.
What happened to our land use plan?
Well,
Does the commercial bypass? That's the question.
what do you mean?
The portion of that, yelling at you guys. The portion of that development that's a farmer's market, that's out of zone, right?
No, they're trying to plat it. So they've officially made an application to replat the front end of that property to commercial, which is what they told us they were going to do 3 years ago. They said, that's what we want to do. And so, yeah, this one seriously frustrates me, and I expect to have some words with the county and at least have a discussion.
Skylin Brown, Bokeelia. So I see this happen a lot in Cape Coral as well. Something that we need to do, since there's multiple triple-digit developments going on Pine Island is we need to do a records request from the county and see what growth projections that they're using to approve these developments. Because in Cape Coral, I found that they were using 2020 census data. And once I started pressing that and pressing for updated data, everything started changing. So that's just like something to like help us with the zoning issues. If we can't get ahead of that, records
Where have you
request.
been? You have to fill us in how to.
Well, I shouldn't say this, but the consultant on the property also did the traffic study, which I don't know. I'll get kicked off this island, I'm sure, but that's all right. And you know, as Nadine said to me as I was venting on the way here, the truth is, you know, when you're building a project like that, you probably do want somebody that offers, you know, full service, you know, everything. But to me, it just seems like a conflict of interest. Though I have to be honest, I've never seen a traffic study that actually said somebody had to do anything. The traffic study for that big commercial development, Betsy Parkway, that traffic study said none of this applies, you don't really have to do anything. How could that be? It's not possible. But you know, I guess if you make the variances wide enough, like you need 2,000 cars to come before you start putting in turn lanes, then yeah. Yeah. So at any rate, you've heard me whine. I'm sorry. Any further questions? Yeah. Any other questions? Thanks for listening to me rant.
Steve. I think the one thing that I always observe, and I know other people, is we've all come to this island for one reason, and if you ask anybody, yes, we want to try to keep it as rural, coastal as possible, but we all have to then band together and have our voices heard, I believe. So the more that we can do that, I think the better. Yeah. Okay, so just a few more things. We have our cleanup tomorrow morning, and you probably have seen, you know, those intermittent lane closures, but I noticed that they're doing most of that overnight, which I thought was really considerate. And just came out today, so this was put on here about these, about the resurfacing before the announcement came out today of what was actually confirmed at the commissioners meeting Tuesday. They will definitely be resurfacing Pine Island Road between the drawbridge and the Little Pine Island Bridge. And there's also some work that's going to start on Burnt Store as well. And that's supposed to be starting, their famous words, the spring. And it's going to last for a few months. So I learned recently, and you may know this already, but Beacon of Hope is offering some tax return assistance. If anyone needs that, they're open to help you at no cost, they said. And then for our partner, regional partner here, Carol had to leave, but she just wanted us to have our reminders here that they've got some events coming up, and their very large gala, March 8th, and the tickets have gone on sale, I think, yesterday. And then their art walk, of course. So, was there anything else that I missed for this that anyone else wanted to mention? Okay. Okay, and then, Nadine, will you? Okay.
Don't forget, we're going to do our seedling giveaway on Valentine's Day, Saturday. We'll be giving seedlings away from 1 to 4 at the Garden Club's park across from the tennis courts. I can't remember the name of the road, but I think it's on there somewhere. It's just too far for me to see. But anyway, we'll have volunteers out there in the morning planting the seedlings in 1-gallon pots, and then you can pick them up in the afternoon. So, and if you'd like, bring a donation. We'll get it to one of the local food pantries.
Park Lane, you've got on there.
Park Lane, thank you.
And we just want to also give a very special thanks to Fruitscapes, who has helped out again.
Yep, they're going to be donating the 1-gallon pots for us again this year, which is great. And we got a little bit of a discount at the feed store on the dirt. So.
I just want everybody here in hearing range to know that this is the 50th anniversary of the Clusa Land Trust on the island. We're celebrating it this year. And we're going to celebrate with having a community-wide barbecue cookout at Fritz Park on March 7th. The island is invited to it. Families, we have games for kids and stuff. It'll be from, I think, 12 to 3 or something like that. But we'll have barbecued pulled pork and chicken right now on the menu. But everybody's invited to do it. Keep that in mind. It's a county, not a county-wide, I hope not. But an island-wide thing. Everybody's invited to come, whether you're a member or not.
Much. And thank you for all the work as well. And then, oh, go ahead. Yes, absolutely.
I belong to a group called Fish Talk. We meet first Thursday of the month at Pine Island Community Church, about 6 o'clock. Chat and talk about fishing. And since I'm a hunter and don't know anything about fishing, I'm in deep trouble. But each each Saturday at Eagle's Nest in February, we're doing fishing seminars. It's all free. There's gift prizes, there's donations. Just come out, there's a whole bunch of talkers who go over fishing lures, knots, everything involved in fishing. And on March 7th, I believe it is, that first Saturday, is a ladies fishing seminar as well, 9 to 12 up at Eagle's Nest. And again, it's all free. Come out, tell your friends and neighbors. They've been doing it about 5 years. Last year we had about 100 people at each session, and we've moved it up to Eagle's Nest. Bring a chair. That's the only thing you need to do. So, but tell your friends and neighbors, come out and have some fun. Questions? All right, good. Thank you.
So, Chris, wait.
I just have one more announcement. So I don't know if any of you listen to WGCU. You may have heard about this guy out from a University of Miami who did some research on algal toxins in dolphins and Alzheimer's. And Clusa Waterkeeper has this gentleman as a speaker for our quarterly meeting in April. So April 11th, just to save the date. Dr. Davis is going to be talking about algal toxins and Alzheimer's disease. And we'll have some more information about it next month. Thank you.
I just want to step in and give a plug for our March 3rd speaker. The Sarasota Dolphin Research Program is the world's longest running study of wild dolphins in the world. And we're honored to be able to invite Dr. Randy Wells, who runs the program and has operated it for more than 50 years. So anyway, come out. You want to learn about dolphins. He's studied the dolphins out here, although not as extensively as the ones in Sarasota Bay. So tell your friends, come out and talk dolphins, have a fun topic for once at our meeting. So there you go.
Matt Lachey Park has our art building, the Pine Island Art Association building, and we've just moved into it this week, as Steve had mentioned. And this weekend we have our big annual show out at the North Fort Myers Rec Center, which is by the library out there. So come in, parking's free, admission's free, get to see a lot of paintings. You'll enjoy it. Come on out.
Hey, Christine, I got one more. Just keep on going here. So
I actually signed up based on Ellen Ballard's suggestion on Saturday, February 7th, so that's this Saturday. They are doing I believe it's a Zoom call on choosing commissioners by single-member districts, which is going to be a big issue, come November of this year, I believe. So if anybody else is interested, I've got the general information. I'm happy to share it with you if you want to sign up.
If you get our emails, there's a link to it in our last 2 emails I sent out.
Hey, I'm
Anything else? Okay, and then as we mentioned earlier, our April meeting will be code enforcement. They reconfirmed today, so. All right, with that.
Move to adjourn.
Anyone opposed? Who wants to stay? Have a good evening. Thank you.